Welcome back. We are very grateful for how you all engage with our stories. It is not the same without your input, and we often decide what to explore based off of what gets you going. And here's a story that's really gotten you all going. A man who went viral on social media for walking around Kensington in Philadelphia with this AR-style rifle here has now been charged. This is Kobe Artis here. He's 24 years old. You may have seen these images. Some people were confused at why he was walking around with a rifle, and they were questioning if it was even legal to do so. Artis was seen with the rifle here as City Councilwoman Ketsi Lozada was in the middle of a news conference. Lozada said she became fearful seeing this man armed walking around as she stood behind a podium. And it wasn't just in Kensington either. Artis also took pictures with people with his rifle in front of City Hall, and he was very vocal about his goal. Take a look.
We're going to stay in Kensington for the rest of our lives. We're going to stay in Philadelphia for the rest of our lives until every single kid follows suit and until we hand out ARs to every 18-year-old that has an ID.
Well, Artis has now been arrested, being held under $1 million bond, but not for walking around with that rifle. He was arrested for allegedly giving a handgun and a rifle to a person who's prohibited from having firearms. So the DA's office says Artis is seen on social media handing the rifle and the handgun to a man named Dennis Brown. That man is a convicted felon and prohibited from having a gun.
Every single thing he did is illegal, but the more we scratch, the more that we find out that his behavior is not only intimidating, frightening, disturbing, troubling, but illegal.
On social media, our viewers had very strong opinions about this. Charlie Muller here had one of the top comments on NBC 10's Facebook page saying, quote, "So the takeaway here is no crime was actually committed until he handed it to a person who was prohibited." John Kincaid had a similar take saying, quote, "He wasn't arrested for open carry, which is technically legal in Philadelphia, but for transferring. Technically legal." Tonight, we're looking at what the law is in Pennsylvania and in Philadelphia, because there was a significant change in 2025 when it comes to open carry. So quick backstory on that. In 2022, a man named Riyad Sumter was arrested for openly carrying a handgun in his waistband in West Philadelphia. He said he was doing this because of self-defense, because of a rash of gun violence in the city that year. He was convicted on a charge of openly carrying a gun in Philadelphia without a permit. Two key parts in that: in Philadelphia and without a permit. That's because in Pennsylvania, it is legal to openly carry throughout the Commonwealth without a permit. You can start at age 18. However, there had been an exception in state law specifically for Philadelphia. Philadelphia holds the legal classification of city of the first class in PA, meaning it has a population greater than 1 million people, the only city in Pennsylvania with that status. And in state law, take a look here, Section 6108 states no person can carry a firearm, rifle, or shotgun upon the public streets or upon public property in a city of the first class, unless you have a license to carry a firearm. Well, after being convicted, Sumter appealed that ruling, and then in 2025, the state Superior Court examined the case and ruled he's right. The exception for Philadelphia violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause and his Second Amendment rights, essentially saying 6108, making that special designation for one city, is unconstitutional. He still has those rights. So where does that leave us here in Philadelphia? A legal expert tells me today in Philadelphia, not only is open carry legal, you can also do so without a license. Here's where the Artis case gets really interesting. I talked to a Philadelphia-based defense attorney, Lonnie Fish. He says openly carrying the way that Artis did, walking around in public spaces where public officials were speaking, making neighbors feel uncomfortable, puts, metaphorically speaking, the target on your back for law enforcement.
So my read in this whole situation is that this person was probably on the radar, was probably put more on the radar by the councilwoman or the congressman. They started just investigating this guy, putting in, getting probable cause to search his meta, and then found these firearms that he delivered to this one person. I can tell you that he's looking at a mandatory 5 to 10 years in prison if convicted, because when you have 2 of those counts, which is the transfer of the firearm, there is a mandatory minimum on that case. So that's what he's looking at. And that's what it looks like at this point, that this guy got the attention of the wrong people. They looked him up on Facebook and Instagram. They got probable cause to search it. They searched it and found the crime and charged it. That's how I see what happened, how this case came through. That's what it looks like to me.
We will certainly be watching this case closely. Artis is back in court on June 2nd. And again, thank you for sharing your thoughts. We want to hear from you as well. You can scan the QR code on your screen. You'll get a link to submit a tip on NBC10.com, or just reach out directly to me on Instagram @Lena Tillett News.